there is such a chasm in my desire for seeing Bruce versus seeing British Lion.
I hate to say this, but judging by the size of venues those bands play respectively, I think the general public agrees and there's quite a big difference in the demand. Hello, and welcome to Maiden Voyages. The boys are back in town.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. We're back. So,
But at what cost?
we are a podcast series where usually we chronicle the entire discography of the world's greatest heavy metal band, Iron Maiden, in chronological order. Mm-hmm. But it's a bit of a different episode today because this is our welcome back episode. We've had a hiatus.
Accidental hiatus. Well, we could sort of knew it was coming, but it came earlier than we expected.
So, if you were looking forward to our hot takes on the X Factor, you're going to have to wait just a little bit more, but it's on the way, isn't it, Sam?
It is on the way. So, in the interest of transparency, we took a break because I had a child, and it turns out that is a very time-consuming thing to do. But before that happened, we recorded 2 episodes for X Factor and 2 episodes for Virtual 11. As of last week, I finally finished editing the Virtual 11 episodes. So we have 4 episodes of proper Iron Maiden content ready to go.
Woo! I just realised we haven't introduced ourselves, but are we going to take it as read at this point that the audience know who we are?
I assume so. I mean, otherwise this is a very weird jumping in point for the series.
If this is your first episode and for some reason, can I suggest you maybe go back and listen to a different one? Because this is not the first episode you want.
Start at the start.
Yeah, start at the start, right?
Even though the audio quality is not as good.
Yeah, or maybe start with Number of the Beast. We sort of found our feet a bit more when
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Go on, let, for the sake of just the format, let's introduce ourselves. So, I'm Bledd, an historian of sorts, and I am an Iron Maiden stalwart.
Stalwart, okay.
Yeah.
I'm Sam, music journalist of sorts, and I am an Iron Maiden wart.
Wart, yeah.
If you're stalwart, I'm a wart.
on the finger of Steve Harris.
Oh,
Just a little prickly wart he's got there.
that's not what you want as a bass player.
No, yeah, that's a nightmare.
Oh,
You've got to tape that up.
jeez, yeah. Oh, that's horrible.
Get some of that Veruca stuff or something.
I immediately regret recording this episode.
But yes, as Sam alluded to, you've not heard from us for a while.
Yep.
Sorry, I guess. But it's a free podcast. What do you want?
Yeah, exactly. We like to maintain consistency in releasing this, but you know, life gets in the way and we're doing this in our free time. So I think it's acceptable to stop for 5 months accidentally.
And on behalf of myself, Sam, and I'm sure the massive Maiden Voyages community,
All 10 of them.
all 10 of them, just a massive congratulations on becoming a dad for the first time.
Why, thank you. I have never been so tired in my life.
Oh, we are now both fathers of daughters.
Metal dads, if you will.
Metal dads.
Imagine that to like the tune of Metal Gods by Priest. Metal dads.
Yeah. As if we couldn't get any more lame.
Yeah.
We were just like middle-aged metal nerds, and now we're middle-aged metal dads.
Yeah, I mean, there's something... I mean, it was bad enough that, you know, as teenagers, we were into music that predated both of our births. But now we're going to be at a stage that when our kids are listening to music, we'll still be listening to music that predates us. And they'll be like, why are you listening to this 50-year-old band?
I'm going to say, because that was the apex of human culture and civilization.
It peaked in 1983.
If my daughter does not learn that from a young age, I have failed, right? 83 was the apex. Peace of mind, that was the pinnacle of human culture. It's all been downhill from there.
Wow, you're really getting an insight into Blevins' parenting.
So, yes, we are back. As you said, Sam, the slightly odd thing here is that you, the listener, listening to this is cutting edge, recorded on the 14th of September, 2024. The next 4 episodes you'll hear were recorded actually 5 months ago.
Yeah, they were recorded in April and the start of May. And they make a lot of references to things that were happening in May, namely the Bruce Dickinson solo tour.
Yes, which we will talk about, by the way.
We will talk about it. But I think, yeah, when you do get to the next episodes, just just remember that they were recorded a while ago. So when Blevin keeps on talking about how excited he is for the upcoming Bruce dates, obviously they've happened.
Yeah. And we will discuss those in a little bit, along with a little recap of some Maiden news.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a current events extravaganza.
Oh, isn't it just?
Okay, this is Sam from the future speaking to you on the 20th of September from the editing room. This whole episode comes with a bit of a disclaimer. We recorded this on the 14th of September and only started editing shortly afterwards. But as I'm sure everyone listening to this knows, Iron Maiden announced a major retrospective tour on the 19th, just after we recorded. So in true Maiden Voyages fashion, we're going to be slightly behind the times in terms of what we're talking about. But rest assured, we're both extremely excited about the Run For Your Lives tour. We're already planning our way to London Stadium next year, so I'm sure we'll talk about the announcement and the tour in more detail in a future episode. In the meantime, let's listen to us ramble on about everything else Maiden related for now.
But the good news is that actually what hasn't changed is the X Factor of Virtual 11. They're still exactly the same now as they were 5 months ago. So
yeah, and having listened back to the episodes after recording and editing, my opinions stand.
This is going to sound like a massive arrogant boast, but I think you having sent the episodes to me, I genuinely enjoyed listening to us talking about Virtual 11 more than I enjoyed listening to Virtual 11. Which I'm not sure what that says about me or Virtual 11.
And it's a damning indictment of both you and Virtual 11.
It's like I'm such a raving narcissist, but also Virtual 11 is pretty bad.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
both
that tracks.
Both these things can be true.
Yeah.
So should we do a little bit of Maiden news now we've just got that out of the way?
What's new in the world of Iron Maiden?
Well,
what have the last 5 months brought us?
Bruce Dickinson solo tour, Sam.
Yeah, okay, so...
Which, by the way, is no longer news at this point, but I've not had an opportunity to discuss it on the podcast.
I wasn't able to make it because it was 2 days after my child was born, so I was running on empty.
As valid excuses go, not to disappear to Swansea for an evening, having a 2-day-old child at home is probably...
Yeah, no, it would have been... relationship limiting, and
that's a deal.
Life limiting, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's you're not seeing that child again if you go to that gig.
that Bruce Dickinson gig will be referred to in a custody battle, in a very vicious custody battle from that point onwards.
When you're paying your child maintenance, so
yeah.
But yeah, so I was riding solo for the Swansea gig.
Yep.
Drove on down from Cardiff, of course, and it was chucking it down with rain when I got to Swansea.
Do we need this preamble?
Yes, it's the ambience. Well, because I got there, I parked up my car, and it was quite a nice weather. It was May, wasn't it? So relatively nice early summer, late spring. Yeah. I got to Swansea, and just this torrential downpour happens. I got out of the car, which felt
South Wales.
Yeah, but also felt oddly fitting. It sort of was like
sure,
yeah,
raining on the graves and all that.
It was also my first visit to the Swansea Arena.
Oh, you hadn't been there before?
No, the rather misleadingly named Swansea Arena, I'd say. Yeah,
it's not really an arena, but it is a very nice venue.
It's a lovely venue, yeah.
I saw Alice Cooper there. Now, the sound is really good there.
Oh yeah, the sound was great for Bruce, as I'll go on to discuss. But it's a large theatre, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
It's a large theatre. But like we said when we were discussing...
Like it's not as big as the CIA. Cardiff.
Oh, God, no.
Arena.
Yeah, well, I did look it up, and I think the capacity of the Swansea Arena is about 5,000.
Right.
Compared to the 8 at the CIA at the Cardiff International Arena. And the Cardiff International Arena is dinky by arena standards.
Yeah.
When you think that Co-op Live ill-fated arena in Manchester is about a 22,000 capacity venue. Yeah, so... It felt like an incredibly intimate setting to see Bruce Dickinson. Any interest in hearing about the support band?
I was about to ask, was there a support band?
There was a support band. You might have to do a live fact check, Sam. They were definitely a New Zealand classic rock band. I have a feeling they were called Black Trigger Smoke.
Black Trigger Smoke.
That's probably wrong. But there's a lot of classic rock bands that are like Black Star Riders, Black Stone Cherry, Black... like 3 words, and the first one has to be black. I'm definitely missing one. Or like Florence Black. There's just...
You're just naming like the entirety of a playlist on Planet Rock.
This is the A-list daytime playlist on Planet Rock, isn't it? Or, Black Rebel Motorcycle Club. I don't think they're actually a classic rock band.
No, they're not. And Black Rebel Motorcycle... is it?
But they follow the format. 3 words, the first
They follow
word
the
is
format,
black.
but they're quite a different type of band. They're more like indie rock. sort
Right.
of thing.
The exception that proves the rule.
That I hate that expression. Like, absolutely no.
I have no idea what it even means. But yeah, while you're looking up what they were actually called, they were very serviceable and decent. You know, I've got, as someone who loves classic rock.
You're right. Black Smoke Trigger.
I think I said Black Trigger Smoke, didn't I?
Okay,
I'll put my hands up. Oh,
It's much of a muchness.
As someone who loves classic rock, the newer classic rock bands, I've got a fairly low tolerance for. I just feel that market is so oversaturated. There are so many of those bands now.
Yeah.
Most of them not really doing anything interesting, but they were.
I had a great time when we went to Steelhouse Festival a few years ago. A lot of those bands were not for me because it was just kind of, just mining the same spot over and over.
Yeah,
again.
it's fine on a sunny day if you're sat down with a pint in your hand. I did not go away from that festival and listen to any of those bands.
No.
Other than the ones I was there to see. But yeah, as those bands go, they were at the better end, I'd say. They had a phenomenal vocalist.
Yeah.
Really good vocalist. They may have been doing this every night of the tour and compiling the footage, but they were filming a music video for... They might have chosen Swansea because I think it was the biggest date of Bruce's tour, right? Weirdly.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
which is strange.
It is odd.
Wait, no. Didn't he play the Forum in Kentish Town?
Yeah, but I don't think that's as big as the Swansea Arena.
Oh, maybe it isn't.
I mean, in hindsight, you probably could have done Brixton Academy in London, right? I think the promoters didn't really know what kind of pull the Bruce Dickinson solo show.
Because, I'm not even sure the London gig sold out.
It did sell out.
Okay.
I think Swansea was the only one that didn't, and it still felt very full. So it may well have sold out.
No, you're right. The Kentish Town Forum is only 2,000.
Yeah, which is dinky, right? And that did sell out quite quickly, I think. So, yeah, but that's by the by. But they were filming a music video, and as they were doing it, a bloke who, all credit to him, did not in any way seem intoxicated or anything, just collapsed about 3 feet in front of me. Yeah, and they had to get the St. John's ambulance in and sort of stop everything. And
oh man, that's not what you want.
Carried him out. Yeah, it was just really odd because he was quite close to me.
Yeah.
And you just watch this man who's standing perfectly upright, sort of just kind of crumple in front of your eyes. And you think,
oh, jeez, I hope he's okay.
Oh, yeah, I've thoughts to that man. I do really hope he's all right. And gutted because he got to miss out on seeing Bruce Dickinson.
That's got to really suck.
Yeah, doing a support band,
and collapsing during the support band.
Your first
you
chance...
don't even see Bruce.
Yeah, your first chance to see Bruce Dickinson in decades at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, the gig itself... I don't want to go on about how good it was, Sam.
Just go on about it. It's fine.
For me, it was so great.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go on our X, I put up a little video I took, which gives you a sense of how close I was.
Yeah.
And I only arrived about 10 minutes before doors opened, but it's quite easy. I was about maybe 4 or 5 people back from the front.
Great.
And yeah, I haven't been that up close at a Bruce Dickinson gig since I saw him on the Mat of Life and Death tour, when I was still in that phase of queuing up for hours, before the doors opened. And
I mean, I think the statute of limitations on this has passed now, but didn't you skip school that day to queue up for a Mat of Life and Death?
Didn't
your mum
expressly
give you permission?
I think she did, yeah.
Which is very unlike
very unlike
your mum.
But bless her.
Very sweet of her.
Yeah, bless her. I think she realised if there was one thing this quite conscientious square school kid can skive off for, it's to queue up and see Iron Maiden.
My parents did not let me skip school that day.
That's fair. But yeah, and what a set list. And I think I said
what were the highlights from the set?
Oh my God. So it was very Chemical Wedding heavy.
Which is interesting.
But I think that is regarded as the classic.
Yeah.
Really, I think Bruce Dickinson fans... the Chemical Wedding, I think, is seen as the classic solo Bruce Dickinson album at this point. And seeing as he said he was going to lean on the Roy Z era stuff, which made sense when Roy Z was in the touring band.
Yeah, so, but then he dropped out shortly before the tour.
Yeah, and, if there was one thing that was a bit of a, that's a shame, it would have been cool to have Roy Z on stage.
Yeah.
But my only concern was that, well, not really a concern, because it's Bruce, right? He's obviously the centre of attention. But I thought, is it going to be Bruce and then just some kind of faceless session musicians? And they kind of are, but the band really interacted on stage with each other.
Yeah.
It felt like a proper band, and you sort of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but I sort of cared about what the guitarists were doing. And
no, I get you.
Stuff.
I mean,
it wasn't just like, get out of my way, I just want to see Bruce. Like, it was, they kind of all had their own distinct personalities. They were kind of engaging each other, and they all just seemed to be having a great time, which is...
Well, I mean, you've got some really impressive people in that band. You've got on bass, what's her name? Tanya O'Callaghan, who is in Whitesnake as well.
Yeah.
He's just an incredible bassist. You've got the really impressive keyboard guy. I think he's called like Mir.
Yeah, but doesn't he go by the stage name Doctor?
Yeah, so something
Dr. Wizard
ridiculous.
Man.
But like,
You got the drummer of Puddle of Mud.
It's just it's just quite a talented band,
Yeah.
right? And like, obviously, I wasn't there, but at some point in the week afterwards, at like 4 a.m. or something in the middle of the night feed, I watched the Hellfest set, which is on YouTube, and like it felt like a proper band.
Yeah,
it didn't
and-
just feel like Bruce and some people.
And if you want to hear how... And it's become a cliche that everyone goes, oh, Bruce has never sounded better. But he was sounding particularly good on that tour.
Sounded good,
And the evidence is there on that Hellfest show, which was really only a week or two after I saw it.
I think we've kind of touched on it in talking about the Mandrake project a bit, but it helps that Bruce's solo stuff tends to often be in a slightly lower register.
Yes, yeah.
That's more naturally where his voice sits now.
Yeah, he's not sort of trying to do that early 80s stuff.
Yeah, so you're getting quite a strong vocal from him because of that.
Although, interestingly, and again, I think because the Hellfest set was shorter, they didn't do this. But on his solo sets, they were doing an instrumental cover of Frankenstein by the Edgar Winter Band with Bruce on the theremin.
Excellent.
Doing a theremin solo, which is great. And it's really fun. And, you know, that's a great song anyway. But I presume the only reason that's there is just to give Bruce's voice a little bit of a rest.
Probably.
Right? You know, instrumental cover.
But, you know, there would never be an Iron Maiden show with a theremin. So
No.
that's
But I was thinking about
special.
it. But in Maiden shows... usually have very long instrumental passages where Bruce, you know, when they're doing Alexander the Great, Bruce can bugger off stage for 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And he gets a little rest. Whereas his solo material doesn't, that's not really how it works, right?
Yeah.
So that was
really
fun,
good point.
seeing a Bruce Dickinson theremin solo. That was one of my highlights
Sure.
of 2024.
Okay, so you had a Chemical Wedding heavy set.
Yeah.
What other songs and albums were represented?
So quite a bit of Accident of Birth. So they opened the title track of Accident of Birth.
Nice.
Which is very fitting with the Welcome Home. It's been too long we've missed
Yeah,
you. It's like,
yeah.
that works. I see what you did there. They also played Road to Hell in Swansea, which I don't think they played
love
on
Road
any
to
of
Hell.
it. Yeah, because on most of the dates they were playing, you know, this is the nerdy stuff people want to know.
Yeah.
On most of the UK dates they were playing Laughing in the Hiding Bush off Balls to Picasso.
Oh, I also love that
I
song.
also love that song, yeah. But they swapped that out for Road to Hell in Swansea, which was a nice little, it felt like a little treat for Swansea. So the only song we got pre-Accident of Birth was Tears of a Dragon.
Interesting.
Yeah, otherwise it was all,
So nothing off balls.
well, Tears of a Dragon.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, but other than Tears of a Dragon, nothing
Yeah.
off Balls to Picasso. And then it was
criminally nothing off Tattooed Millionaire.
Criminally, yeah.
I feel like you could at least do the title track. I get not wanting to do the rest of the album, but the title track, come on.
It would stick out like a sore thumb, but it would be such a good time.
But with that band and stuff, like there'd be a way to make it quite fun.
Yeah.
And, like you could do it with a sort of knowing wink.
Yeah.
It's a stupid song.
But
Or you could do something else off that album. You could do something like Born in 58.
Yeah.
Like that would slot in quite well.
yeah, Born in 58 or even Son of a Gun would work, I think.
Yeah.
Son of a Gun. But yeah, then what else do we get? We got so Dark Side of Aquarius of Accident of Birth. Yes.
I think that is
mate.
my favourite Bruce song.
Yes, yeah, I would
good.
I would agree with you that.
That
yeah.
chorus is just so good.
That
And
might
I
be-
love all the imagery. It's a great song.
That might have even been the final song of the main set before the encore.
Amazing.
And then Chemical Wedding, we had the title track, of course. Although weirdly, they properly messed up Chemical Wedding, which is odd because they've been playing for quite a while at this point.
Yeah.
You know, there's the neoclassical solo in the middle, the da 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 da.
yeah.
The lead guitar player went to start playing that, but the rest of the band just totally missed out the solo section.
Oh, dear.
And you could see him sort of throw a look at them, being like, what? And they had to quickly recover and just go back into the chorus. So it was a sort of short
man.
version, which Bruce did address. And if you weren't a massive fan, you probably wouldn't have even noticed, right?
Yeah.
But Bruce was like, oh, well, you'll never hear that version of Chemical Wedding again. And then just went a little bit of a rant.
At least he owned it.
Yeah, and he was like, we don't use backing tracks. And like, I was like, oh, fair play, mate. Clearly not.
Clearly not. You would have played the right thing.
You would have played the song correctly.
But that is, I mean, I totally get why loads of bands use backing tracks and click tracks and all that jazz nowadays. But there is something quite fun about like the random fluidity that comes with just a band playing together without that stuff providing the backbone.
And to be fair, they saved it amazingly because you could see him...
Like you style things up.
Yeah, because I was quite close and you could see him look over and they were like, he's like, oh, they're not going into this section. So very quickly, as everyone loops back in, Bruce comes back in the chorus and they're back on their feet. But we had Book of Thel as well, which is amazing, you know.
Yeah.
By the pricking of my thumb. Something. That was in the encore. The Tower.
Great song.
Only 2 songs off Tyranny of Souls. But which I get because I appreciate that album means more to me than it does almost anyone else.
Was it... oh, man. Completely.
Shall I just tell you?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say Abduction and then the really good acoustic song.
Yeah, Navigate the Seas of the Sun.
That's the one.
Yeah. Which as cuts off that album go great, but...
To be honest, those are the 2 songs I would have wanted off that album.
Soul Intruders, Kill Devil Hill, the title track. I would have loved the title track.
I just think Abduction's a really fun song. I think Navigate the Seas of the Sun is a surprisingly lovely... little acoustic ballad, considering that like the other comparable stuff in Bruce's discography is The Tears of the Dragon, which is a fantastic song, but it's pretty cheesy lyrically. Something about Navigate Seas of the Sun is like quite intimate and delicate. It's a really great song.
But I guess you've also got like Arc of Space and Man of Sorrow.
Arc of Space is great.
Face in the Mirror off the new album as well. Bruce I think actually does that stuff very well.
It's interesting hearing Bruce do more delicate, quieter songs because actually he has a really nice tone for it.
And actually that was the first song of the encore, which is interesting.
Cool.
The audience was totally on board with it. And it was really good production as well. Like Bruce warned, this isn't like a Maiden production, obviously, so no pyro or Eddie. I mean, that would be random, wouldn't it? If it's just like like sort of budget Eddie just walks on like hello. But no, he had like a sort of like one of those video screens, big telly behind him. But it was quite tastefully done. Nice. Not like some of the quite terrible visuals that some bands stick on there.
Yeah,
it didn't really detract from things. But it just felt like something I thought. I honestly thought I'd never get to see the songs live. I just didn't. I thought that, when he didn't tour Tyranny of Souls...
Some of us still feel that way.
But what I would say is Bruce really looked like he was having so much fun.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if he doesn't want to do that again.
Here's hoping.
Yeah, I guess it'll depend on what Maiden's schedule is like.
Yeah.
But presumably Maiden will... Well, they already have slowed down, right? And not literally necessarily, but in terms of... the pace of their touring, the album release, there is more room to breathe now in the Maiden schedule.
That's true.
Than certainly there was. So, it seems like Bruce with his solo stuff and maybe Steve with British Lion are perhaps easing into a kind of semi-retirement post-Maiden world where they can go out and do their various projects and, the odd Maiden gig here and there, perhaps. I mean, I would love to see that again because there's also so much stuff I'd love to see Bruce play that I wouldn't complain about a set list, but...
There is such a chasm in my desire for seeing Bruce versus seeing British Lion. Like, just huge, dwarfing canyon.
I hate to say this, but judging by the size of venues those bands play respectively, I think the general public agrees and there's quite a big difference in the demand. But, Bruce has some really good songs.
Yeah, he's got some great stuff.
Great songs. And British Lion... have some songs.
They have songs.
They have 2 albums worth of songs apparently. So I guess that is the Maiden news. Other than the fact that British Lion and Maiden are touring Australia at the moment, still
together.
Well, I presume it must have coincided. So, I don't think. I think British Lion were there early or something.
Okay,
they'd just done a few Australian dates, and then maybe the rest of Maiden went out to join Steve. But Future Past tour still a thing. In Australia, at least. Lucky Australians. They got to see it.
Yeah.
Same set list. No word on a new Maiden album.
It is weirdly quiet on that front.
Yeah.
Because it kind of felt like when Senjutsu came out, they'd had it in the bank for like a year or two before they released it.
Well, I think they said they recorded it. It was finished in 2019.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it kind of sounded like, oh, they must either be working on something newer or already have something else in the bank.
Yeah.
But actually, there's just been no hint of anything.
And usually the internet will tell you that. Well, usually it's when Kevin Shirley's been spotted anywhere out of the house. As soon as Kevin Shirley leaves his house, the internet is like, oh, there's a new Maiden album coming. I saw Kevin Shirley do something. But no sightings of Shirley.
Interesting.
So, yeah. I mean, I almost could have thought maybe you'd see a new Maiden album this year. That's definitely not happening.
Well, I mean, if it does happen, it's going to be very... Well, no, I don't think we'll get the album this year, but we might get some news, I suppose, in the next 3 months.
Well, yeah, because I don't think there's anything in the diary once they've finished the Australian tour.
Yeah.
And presumably, if they come back to Europe, even to do festivals next year, well, they've already done an European festival run for the Future Past tour, because that's what they were doing at Wacken, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
they're not going to come back and, oh, here's European Festivals Future Past tour again.
Aren't they?
Well, no, Maiden don't.
It's still Maiden.
Yeah, it's still Maiden. But
Maiden just playing old songs. People will eat that up.
But yes, but it'll have to be something different. To be fair to Maiden, they're not just going to keep going. They can't show up at Wacken again with exactly the same set list as they did 2 years ago, right? Or Download or wherever else. Like they've never done that in the past. It will. So if we do see Maiden live next year, it will have to be something different.
Yeah.
Because they've thoroughly exhausted that set and that production now. So even a new tour, I'd be very excited about. But is it going to be a themed if there's no new album, it's going to have to be some kind of legacy tour.
Okay, this is Future Sam from the editing room again. This whole conversation is ridiculous considering what's been announced, but just roll with it. To be fair, they don't have to theme the tours. That is just something Maiden specifically do.
Yeah.
But if you think of like most bands going on tour, the most theming you might get from, say, I don't know, like a Metallica tour or something is usually something like we're playing Master of Puppets in full or whatever. But actually, if you think of most bands going on tour, it's either in support of a new album or it's just a like best of.
Greatest hits tour, yeah.
But it doesn't even necessarily have to be billed as a greatest hits tour.
Well, Legacy of the Beast, right, was kind of a best of deep cuts tour.
Yeah, but there was something specific about theming it as Legacy of the Beast. Like, not all bands even name their tours, right? It's just Maiden are quite particular about that.
Well, I think it's like the marketing, right? It's
good marketing.
It's that savvy promotion. It's like
good branding.
What's the angle for this tour?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
How are we making people, not being funny, like, oh, we'll also go see Maiden, but people who might have seen us 20, 30 times, what's their hook for coming to see us when you come round this time? And the tickets will inevitably be slightly more expensive than they were last time.
If you've seen Maiden 20, 30 times, you're probably just going without considering.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you're just going by default.
I'm going by default at this stage of my life. I don't even care how much the tickets are.
I care a bit.
But yeah, I mean, look, luckily Maiden
still probably
aren't doing dynamic pricing. Otherwise, I'd be very sad.
What an absolute mess.
Yeah, hot takes on Oasis. Yeah. Dear mate.
Do not care about Oasis.
No. But there is an interesting comparison of Maiden, right? Because
this is going to be the only podcast that does a quote unquote interesting comparison between Maiden and Oasis.
But with Maiden, I've always thought comparable to acts their size, their ticketing pricing is quite fair.
Yes.
They could charge more, is what I'm saying. Like, there's no reason at this stage in their career. We saw them at the NEC Arena. They could charge £100 a ticket and probably still fill that venue out. Metallica are charging more than £100 a ticket these days.
Yeah.
Acts of their size are. But I've always sort of thought, it's like, what, £80, wasn't it? Which is expensive. Like, don't get me wrong. But, compared to what their peers are doing, like, they're not taking the mick. And I have to give them, hats off to Maiden for that.
I think that's fair. Maiden have kept their pricing on the lower end of their contemporaries.
Of arena bands,
right? Of arena bands. I think there's a wider discussion to be had about like how dire it is that concert tickets cost so much at the moment. And obviously there's lots of factors that go into that. But fundamentally, you're making live music a luxury that only a certain type of person can afford. And particularly for metal bands and one like Iron Maiden, there would be a huge irony to this group of mostly working class men.
Yeah.
Cutting out the working class from being able to attend their gigs, right? Like that is the irony of something like the Oasis reunion.
Oh, yeah.
Like those tickets are unaffordable for so many people. And yeah, I just think the whole gig ticket pricing thing has gone way out of hand.
Yeah, and without getting into my...
I'll get off my soapbox.
I really hope this dynamic pricing does not become standard across the industry.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the dynamic pricing thing is Ticketmaster, A, having a monopoly, Ticketmaster/Live Nation having a monopoly over everything, and B, we live in a capitalist dystopia, and, like, you know, they've got us by the short and curlies.
Yeah.
It's horrific. I don't think dynamic pricing is a fair sales method on any level.
Well, I was thinking about this. Like, it's a lovely sunny day here in Cardiff, Sam.
It is.
So, say I take my daughter to Tesco, and because she likes ice cream. And
surge pricing on ice cream.
Well, yeah, because it's a hot sunny day. It's like, the ice cream says it's like, what, a Twister's £1.50. I take it to the counter, and they're like, oh, that's £6. I'm like, sorry, it's a Twister. And they're like, yeah, but it's a really sunny day, so loads of people want Twisters.
Yeah.
So now it's £6. You'd be like, what? Like,
that's a really good analogy.
Thank you.
Like,
yeah, I thought so.
Oddly specific, but you know, that's messed up. Right?
Yeah, it's messed up. But to bring it back to Maiden, I'm just glad that as a fan, Maiden have never done anything. Because I think being an Oasis fan, okay, you might have paid for the tickets, but it must leave such a bad taste in your mouth, right?
Yeah.
You must feel kind of inherently annoyed at the band.
And then even
I'm just glad
worse,
Maiden have never done that to me. Have never made me kind of resent them in that way.
And then after spending all that money, even worse, you then have to go see Oasis.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to add insult to injury here.
You then have to stand in a stadium with probably, like, you know, the 40,000 worst people in your town or city. All in one place.
Oh. Well, I mean, no one listening to this podcast is going to judge us for those comments, but a lot of people we know will hate us.
Yeah. They don't listen, Sam. It's fine.
Yeah. None of our friends listen to this, thankfully.
They don't listen.
Because they're wrong.
So, yeah, I guess that's the sum of the Maiden news, isn't it, really?
Well, I got a couple of small pieces of tiny bits of news.
Oh, here he goes.
So yeah, only some very minor news. I saw the other day that Cart and Horses, the birthplace of Iron Maiden in London, is sadly up for sale.
Oh, sad times.
Which is not that surprising for any pubs in London, to be honest. I'm sure the rates are ludicrously expensive, and some property investor is looking to turn it into flats, I assume.
Well, especially in that post-Olympic East End generation, sort of.
But it's really sad. There was a post in their Facebook saying that they need basically a cash buyer in order to keep the venue.
Oh, man.
So yeah, who knows how long it'll be open for? Fingers crossed. Somehow they make the money to keep it, because that place is just a really nice monument to Iron Maiden.
Yeah, and it is a bit of a time capsule, isn't it? Because I know they've reconfigured the layout a bit, but it does feel in this sort of ocean of high-rise steel and glass redevelopment, it's just this very greasy in the best possible way sort of like rock metal pub.
Yeah,
right?
it's been nicely refurbed, but it's still pretty much an old man rock and metal pub. And it's got a good vibe about it. It's got so much amazing memorabilia there. The people who run it are really lovely. It hosts good gigs and stuff. It's
be a real shame back there, weren't they?
Well, exactly. Yeah, Steve's there quite often by the looks of it.
Who was it? The original Iron Maiden keyboard player opening for them?
Yes. Yeah, you mentioned
Tony
this on the pod before.
You sort of think, it's nice to see him back after, what he's been doing in the last...
Yeah.
After playing one show with Iron Maiden in 1977.
Paul Di'Anno plays there quite often.
Oh, have you had a chance to listen to Paul Di'Anno's new cover of Wrathchild?
So that was my second bit of Maiden news.
Okay.
So yeah, Paul Di'Anno, as part of his latest solo album, has done a version of Wrathchild.
Well, it seems to me like the album is called The Book of the... It's like a soundtrack to his autobiography.
Yeah.
Which is... sure, why not? Yeah, most autobiographies need a soundtrack.
I mean, to be fair, that's not that out there. If you're a musician doing an autobiography, maybe you would produce some music for it. I can kind of get that. It's just a weird version of the song.
Well, because it has ZP,
Zippy Theart,
formerly...
ex-Dragon Force, ex-Skid Row. Who knows what he's doing now other than this cover?
Well, he was in Tank for a bit. I'm not sure if he's still in Tank.
Yeah.
But wow, who'd have thought in 2024 that Paul Di'Anno sounds good compared to ZP? He must have listened to that and thought, what the hell have they done to my vocal? Because he is a good singer, but he sounds atrocious.
So literally the one note I've taken on this is didn't expect Paul to be the better singer.
Yeah. Have they
but genuinely, like, it's almost, yeah.
It sounds like he's literally doing it down a telephone.
It sounds like
he's been
A, he
properly
doesn't
stitched
want to
up.
be there,
Yeah.
and B, no one's produced it.
And as if he's only heard the song
like Paul
once
Di'Anno
before.
sounds pretty strong on it. Surprisingly good.
He does, yeah.
Considering how he actually sounds. But yeah, ZP has not come out well on that cover.
No, they have stitched him up well and good there, poor guy.
Yeah.
But to be fair, like the live footage I've seen of Paul, he has his nights, right? He's not brilliant, but I have seen stuff of him lately in his sort of, post wheelchair phase. So I'm like, oh, fair play. He sounds all right there. He just seems very temperamental, doesn't he? And if he's having a wobble or a bad night, everyone is going to know about it because he just clearly can not hold it together if the slightest thing annoys him. I was listening to...
I have a lot of sympathy for him because he's clearly been dealt a bad hand in life at various points, especially with all his health issues and whatnot. But yeah, he's also, I think you're right, temperamental performer is probably the right way to put it. Like, he can sometimes seem like he's locking into a vibe, can sometimes sound good, but a lot of times neither of those. So well,
like I was listening to the That's Not Metal podcast. Shout out to
a much more successful
metal music podcast. And one of the presenters had kind of seemingly unwittingly stumbled into a Paul Di'Anno gig in London, and they said it was kind of, well, they saw that he was on and was like, oh, let's just go see that. And the verdict was it was a fun night because those songs are fun, but slightly bizarre in the sense that apparently Paul was kind of just having a go at his band on stage for...
Ooh, that's weird.
Apparently, maybe I'm misremembering. I'm pretty sure that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Because, of course, he just seems to rock up with any random group of musicians.
Yeah.
Who, he just expects to have learned all the material. And, I doubt he's probably rehearsed with half of them, really.
Yeah.
Whatever town he goes into, just find the local Maiden tribute band and they're his backing band for that gig. So...
Yeah. I mean, I know we've talked about it ages ago near the beginning of the podcast. Like, I once had to review a live DVD of Paul Di'Anno with one of his various backing bands. And yeah, I think it was very much the same thing. Like, it was a local band basically that knew all the songs and he kind of jumped in to do the vocals. And I mean, the band knew the songs better than him. That
sounds about right, yeah.
It's a very not good DVD. Like, even putting aside like his horrible comments and banter throughout it, it's just very bad performance.
We will look back at... There was a time where there was just a deluge of DVDs, music, live concert DVDs by metal acts, like really tiny acts. Like, once the technology got to the point where it's like, oh, we can film a DVD using like 6 handheld video cameras. Like, every band and his
like
dog
the naughties,
had a music.
Just everyone had a DVD of varying degrees of quality.
And I'll put my hand up. I bought most of them. Albeit,
I mean, to be fair, I remember
my storage unit.
I remember as a teenager, you would constantly just be like, "Oh yeah, I got this live DVD. I've got this live DVD. I've got this live DVD." It's like, why?
Yeah, why?
You don't even like this band.
No,
you got like Arch Enemy's like 2004 live DVD.
Yeah, Rise of the Tyrant.
Yeah, no. Wait.
Oh, the one before that. Yeah. I've got both of them. Oh, there's like the Japan one. Yeah, and the one before
but
that.
You had like the Swedish Apocalypse one.
Yes, yeah.
which was like one of the first gigs I ever went to. Great gig.
And to be fair, I do love Arch Enemy, so that's not that random.
At the time, you barely knew them.
Wow.
So you were just like, I've picked this up. It's like,
Clearly the DVD worked, because I was like, hey, bloody love Arch Enemy.
although the funny thing about that DVD is I was at that gig and there were a lot of like hilarious guitar mistakes that didn't make it into the post-production phase.
Surprising, given how the quality of the musicians in that band.
All absolutely amazing musicians, but sometimes stuff just goes wrong live, right?
Bring back music DVDs, that's what I say. I
do love a good music DVD, you know?
In terms of my Maiden wish list of things in the future, the next...
I don't need any more Maiden DVDs.
No, I do.
I've got several already, and that's probably too many.
The next instalment of the Maiden history series, focusing on the 90s, repackaged with a sort of digitally enhanced Live at Donington 92, which is really the only Maiden VHS that's not had the official DVD Blu-ray treatment. But I think Maiden, have, like most bands, have just given up on DVDs and Blu-rays. Like, we've not had one in years at this point.
Well, no one buys physical video media, right? So you would release... well, you would. But you would release it as a stream-only thing, most likely. But even then, there's... particularly a band like Maiden, there's so much live content available already. But why even bother?
But this is what kind of gets me, right? Because you sort of think, technology is great. It just shafts you. Like in that Ghost concert film, Right Here, Right Now.
Yeah.
I thought, I really want to watch that. As far as I can tell, there isn't a physical release, so I went on their streaming website.
Yeah.
And it was like, here's 15 quid to watch it once.
Yeah.
And you just think, that was the price of a DVD that I could watch again and again. It's like, what? And that costs you nothing, because there's no physical manufactured distribution costs. It just sits on a website. I know it doesn't cost you nothing. You have to film it and the servers and what have you.
Yeah.
But the costs are presumably far less to just upload it and then charge people 15 quid a pop to watch something.
Yeah.
What a bleak note to end on. Shall we...
Bye!
Bye! Life is awful. See you later.
We live in... just a never-ending deluge of product and exploitation of our wallets.
Shall we...
No physical material possessions to show for it. Just the knowledge that we can stream something once within a 24-hour period, but we'll never actually own it. We're only purchasing a temporary license. And,
luckily, when I'm gone, my daughter will have an awful lot of metal DVDs released between 2000 and 2005. So,
but she won't have a DVD player. That's the thing.
I'll make sure there's one. Just buried in a time capsule in the garden. Dig this up in the event of my death. It's a DVD player.
There's a single DVD player. It's like a PlayStation 2 or something.
And why I can't just leave this in the house rather than burying it.
No, it has to be buried for that dramatic effect.
Of course. So, coming up, I guess people have got the X Factor episodes to look forward to. I mean, 11 episodes are on the way. It's all edited. It's coming down your ear hole at some point.
Yeah, we will start releasing them. I haven't figured out the cadence yet, but we'll start releasing them after this. So that will cover us for a few months. So
and by which time we should have that will give us the notes for the Brave New World episode are pretty much done. We'll probably have recorded that.
We'll also try and do an Ed Hunter.
Oh yes, the Ed Hunter. Yeah,
as like a little bonus. And I mean that would take us to the end of season 3.
That is the end of season 3, and then
I should say I can't guarantee recording and editing all of this in a timely manner.
No,
but I'll try.
But the thing is people won't know when this comes. Like when this comes out, Sam, it's when it comes out. So
that's true.
Yeah, so they won't know.
Schedules be damned.
Yeah, exactly. And then we'll be getting ready for season 4, the final season.
I guess it would be the final.
I guess it makes sense just to do. I know we'll be biting off more albums, but I don't want one season that's just Book of Souls and Senjutsu. That's not fun.
Yeah. No, that sounds terrible.
We may as well just bash through there.
So what? Season 4 would be Dance of Death, A Matter of Life and Death,
Final Frontier,
Book of Souls, Senjutsu.
And then the climatic finale of the podcast. Or who knows? Maybe we'll have a new Maiden album by the time we get. So.
Yeah,
I hope so.
It could take us a year to get there.
Otherwise, that'll be the end of the pod.
Well, there's lots of other stuff we could mine for conversational purposes.
Yeah. Could even talk about things that aren't related to Iron Maiden.
Dear God. Finally start the Kai Hansen podcast.
Kai Hansen. Dear God, the Kai Hansen podcast is a no-goer, Sam.
Come on.
So few
Kai
people listen to the Maiden podcast. Can you imagine?
Be like two very passionate German men.
Two very passionate Germans who just complained that we're doing this in English.
Yeah, that's fair. That's valid. That's a
Why can't it be in German? Although I think our odds of getting Kai Hansen on the pod are probably higher than getting Bruce.
And on that note, where can people find us, Blevin?
People can find us on X, our exclusive social media partner.
Yeah.
The only platform we can be bothered to maintain.
I feel worse and worse about that, I have to be honest. A, because X doesn't work very well.
No.
But also B, come on.
But we are at MaidenPod on X.
Yeah.
I guess we're not on Instagram because we're not a very visual format. So
No, I would prefer to be on Instagram, but we wouldn't have much to show.
there wouldn't be nobody's subscribing to pictures of our faces, are they?
Yeah,
So
no.
And there's a limit to the amount of Maiden merch we can mine from there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got 15 t-shirts. Well, probably about 20 at this
That's
point.
15 posts. Great.
Yeah, 15, 20 posts. Yeah. It's X for now, isn't it?
It's X for now, sadly. On that note, I think we should stop. Enjoy the remaining episodes.
Bye.
Bye.